makes me happy. Sunshine on my shoulders. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to Thorny Bush Private Nature Reserve this afternoon, and welcome to our PM Safari Saturday afternoon, May the 10th. No, where are we? Kind of first week of May. No, June. No, we're in June. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's new moon, I know that much. New moon in June. And this is Wild Earth. My name is Mark. Becky on camera. She can't wave to you because we don't have the back cameras back yet. But, you know, it's a really strange thing, this equipment that we have, because sometimes we switch it on and we get an instant signal back to camp, and sometimes we switch everything on and we've got to go through a whole rigmarole of no picture, no signal, switch this off, switch that on, switch this off, and eventually, so we're late. I know. Lash me, thrash me, and pull me over the coals. But it's one of those things where we try and go live, and it's the way things work. But it's Africa time. Africa time is always ish time, so we live at 3-ish, 6:30-ish. Mostly because we've got to deal with temperamental equipment that either wants to wake up or not. But that aside, we are driving right into the sun now, hence my sunglasses, because the future's so bright I have to wear shades. We're going to make our way up to the young male lion eventually. It's been a lovely hot day here at Thorny Bush, and I dare say he has probably spent most of the day sleeping in the shade, and I dare say that those buffalo spend most of the day sleeping in the mud. And so I dare say that maybe somewhere, yes, I forgot to switch it off. Sorry, is that making a noise? Sorry everyone. My electronic device was interfering. Pilot told me to switch off all electronic devices for the duration of the flight, and that's what we're doing. So we'll head up there later. I have no doubt that the situation up there at Westall Pan is not going to change very much during the day, although the buffalo might move off. I don't think he would go anywhere unless the buffalo chased him off, in which case he's probably going to just settle down somewhere nearby. It might be a bit of a mission to find him, and then of course the other side of that is that maybe he'll start calling as the evening wears on, as the day wears out. However, in the interim we're going to look for a couple of other things. Firstly, on our way back today we found some leopard tracks, very, very fresh leopard tracks. I'm going to talk to one of the guys about it shortly when I hear him on the radio. And then we're going to go and look for some elephants and find out where they went to. And then we're going to go up and eventually find this lion and continue the saga of he who calls and doesn't get answered. Continue the saga of the young male lion who is now raising so many questions as to his future and his connection to the pride. Oh, somebody's been here breaking wattle branches. Actually, no, I think what I'm going to do is move it out the way, and while I'm doing that I can look for tracks. That's very strange, isn't it? Elephant track. And this branch is broken from quite high up. But it might have been a gust of wind actually. This is the African wattle. Peltiforum Africanum. The softest leaf you'll ever touch in the bush when they're green. They're starting to lose their leaves now. Ordinarily, one expects that you'll find elephant tracks when you find a branch in the road, because we automatically blame it on the elephants. But sometimes the wind is to blame too. We've had some gusts of wind. I guess there's some really good thermals today. Although I haven't seen anybody flying in them. There's actually the raptors are conspicuous by their absence. Occasionally a couple of vultures. We saw a tawny eagle the other day. I saw a bateleur the other day. But other than that, the big raptors are few and far between at the moment. I don't know why. We do have that pair of African hawk eagles nesting in the east along the river, and other than that we don't see too many raptors other than the small accipiters. The accipiters are the smaller goshawks, sparrowhawks, falcons, all the small raptors, smaller birds of prey. Nobody's been here today. Hello, Julie. You live in a really nice place, Julie. Olympia in Washington State. That's like near the Olympia rainforest. I don't know, is it a true rainforest? But there is some incredible forest area. It could be rainforest type habitat up in Olympia, Washington. But anyways, the question is, does the young male lion have a name? Not amongst all the guides, no, he doesn't. And I'm trying to think of a name, something translated as he who calls but doesn't get answered, or the lone caller. No. Of course, it can't be an English name. It has to be a Shangaan name, or I guess it doesn't really work to have a Swahili name. Because Swahili is not a recognized language down here. Right now, there's a mud pan here, or rather the waterhole pan. Little dam. And I went, oh, elephant tracks. Going that way. These must be those 4 young bulls that I saw the other day, leaving some branches in the road. But I'm also looking for tracks of that little leopard that came this way this morning. We saw those tracks when we were on our way back up. And then there's that tree that's just over the road. These are fresh tracks. These are fresh early tracks. So they're not too far ahead of us somewhere. Listening to the other radio. There is tracks now. Elephants have walked over his tracks. Mostly over his tracks. Elephant has been here after it. Elephant are quite fresh. This is the young male leopard. The elephants are headed that way, and hoping they might still be within sight of us, or rather within our broadcast range. But for the time being, I just want to have a look around here, because leopard tracks have come down here. No doubt he's probably gone maybe down to the river. Such a bright day today. Like an old crossing, but his tracks are not here. No tracks here. None of those leopard tracks are here, so he's somewhere behind us. All those elephant tracks have obliterated his tracks. There's a lot of action going on the radio, and I just need to listen to it because I don't want to stumble across somebody following tracks. We'll get to questions shortly. But there's always a lot of talk at the beginning of the drive. Jonathan, come in. No, maybe not you. Who was lunging in Mkhonto this morning? Sorry, Gareth. Were you lunging Mafazi or Madoda? Because there are also tracks for that Madoda that are coming down from that old cut line where the water tanks are, heading down towards Hamakop Loop. I've got his tracks on Hamakop Loop and the obliterated line for Mkhonto. Okay, thanks. So Gareth is following female track further west of us. That's probably why this young male is moving around. He's got to be here somewhere. He's lying under a tree, sleeping somewhere in the shade. Termite Mound is a good place for a leopard. To actually just have a careful look at his tracks to see where they went. Mark Yaga. He was still on the damn wall. He hadn't really moved much. Some more Nyari came into the pan and some giraffe and stuff, but he ignored them. When I left, he was still under that guarri bush on the Shipoko side of that dam. Not only have the elephants walked on the leopard's tracks, but I've driven on them. I want to try and find somewhere where he may have left this road, but I really think he's got to be somewhere close by. Unless he made it down to the river, in which case I'm far off there. The last footprint is here. The last I'm going to be able to do about it, because elephants on top of his prints. He's sleeping somewhere in these bushes. I'm also not sure how. Sorry. Five local boys now. Where the lion was. And he evidently he moved down below the dam wall when Craig was there earlier, so I guess the sun and things were getting to him, and flies were getting to him, and he eventually went down into a thicket. going to not worry about him as yet. Know that these tracks are from this morning, and also that there's a good chance that this leopard wouldn't have really moved much. If it was lion, I would pretty much guarantee that it didn't move, but with leopard, they can move during the day. They sometimes do, because lion and hyena are not sleeping much today at all, so leopard do take a bit of an advantage. Some more smoke in the air, winter, I guess. Half of the course of their fires. Okay, one more chance. When I'm turning around, we're going to do one more sweep past this little fan, and then we're going to cross the river and go north. These elephants have headed west. I would like to follow them, but I can't because we're going to lose signal. And further along the river, maybe if we're lucky, if we go on the other side of the river onto what's called Bushwillow Drive, maybe we'll be lucky. But for the time being, I can't really do anything about these leopard tracks, and I can't do anything about these elephant tracks. What we can do is just go as far as I can until Andy tells me that we've lost signal, and then I'll come back. And in the interim, while I'm looking, we can ask some questions. I know there are some questions. Hello, Deborah. Okay, let's see. We'll go a little bit west to see if we can hear, just pick up anything from elephants. Deborah wanting to know if there are any monkeys or apes. Where are the monkeys and the apes? Well, there are no apes in South Africa, Deborah. There are only prosimians and baboons, or rather vervet monkeys. The only two primates that we get here that are diurnal primates that we're likely to see are the vervet monkeys and the Chacma baboon. Both species are very, very shy in this part of the world, possibly as a result of some serious interspecies conflict between primate species, notably humans and them. The chances of getting decent because as soon as they see us, they disappear. They're very, very shy. It's got a lot to do with the camps, and the human activity tends to attract them at first, and then when they start creating a problem and they start becoming a nuisance, then people resort to having to chase them and frighten them off. And so you get the status quo that monkeys and baboons just really don't like us. And there are very few places where they do. But the apes, as far as concerned, the apes, like the gorillas, they're all up in center, unless in a unless it's time to turn around. Yeah, no, they're going to be like that because we head our way. I'm going to go back. Hello, Suzanne. Suzanne's wondering about how many kilometers do we cover on a drive. It depends. I don't know, anywhere between, sometimes we can cover 2 kilometers and sometimes we can maybe just cover 10 or 15. The reason why I say it depends is because if we see animals and we spend time with animals, we're not really driving. And we're driving slowly also. It's actually very hard to quantify how far we cover because it just is. Mostly because the odometer isn't working, so I can't really get an average. I mean, I suppose I could, if I had an odometer that was working, I could record our mileage every single drive and then after a week take an average. But on some days we drive a lot more because we don't see any animals, and on some days when we do see animals we stop and we watch them and we don't drive at all. Gosh, one of those things, not really a fixed number that I can give you. I'm afraid I wouldn't even know how to respond with a decent reply that says it's X kilometers, because it differs every day. Anywhere from 5 to 15, let's put it that way. Anywhere from, or even 2 to 15 kilometers. Sometimes we can maybe even do a little bit more, but not an easy figure to attain. Now these are my trees for a leopard to be sleeping under. The thing is that I have never seen this leopard. So I don't know how relaxed he is with the vehicles. I don't know whether he's calm and whether he would really stay there if he was under a tree, or whether he would hear the vehicle and then disappear. The fact is, at the moment, this bush is so thick there's not even much point in trying to get in there. And there's an impala. 2, 3, there's a few impala deep in the bush on my right. That doesn't really say much because they might not have seen him. But I can't even get in there with the vehicle, so even if he was in there, there's not much we can do about it. So we're going to go back across the river. We'll get a better signal across the river, heading a little bit further west, see if those elephants are either in the river or maybe across the river. These ones, there's about 4 bulls, I think, young bulls. And who knows, maybe this leopard actually crossed the river and maybe we'll pick up his tracks on the other side. So we'll just have to go and see. I was hoping that maybe we'd see him lying under a tree at the pan, but he's not. Saturday afternoon. Welcome to all of you viewers who are our weekend viewers, because a lot of you maybe have to go to work during the week and you're not able to watch us during the week. So I'm glad that maybe you're with us this afternoon, your morning, your afternoon, maybe even your late evening if you out in Australia, New Zealand. Hope we can provide some wonderful Saturday entertainment for you. Of course, animals have to play ball. Hard explaining to elephants that it's Saturday. Elephants don't really understand the concept. But I hope I've got a lion in my pocket for later. I'm hoping that can happen. Managed to sort out my connectivity problems. Something that we actually tried to do the other day, and for some reason it didn't work the other day, but there was an IP address conflict problem type thing. Managed to sort it out without anyone's help, actually. No, I lied. Pete helped me initially the other day and sort of pointed me in the right direction, and since then I've been trying my best. What I had to do was restore my computer to an earlier point in time so that it forgot about all the changes that I made trying to fix it. Because I might have done something wrong in changing settings and all sorts of things. So, wonderful for the concept of system restore, where I could take it back 2 weeks and say, okay, well, date is now 25th of May, and then start it all over from there. I think the problem was trying to change IP addresses and trying to change other things while there was still conflict, and while I changed things that I didn't even know that I changed. I get into it's Windows, naturally, it's not a Mac, and sometimes a window can pop up on my screen, and when I close it, I can't remember for the life of me how I managed to get to that particular point, and that can always be dangerous because you can't change things if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. But having said that, at least I managed to accomplish one thing this afternoon, because it was after 2 before I finally got around to getting online again, and then of course downloading off of the camera. So I managed to post a little video. Now that little video, I have to tell you, is taken from this little thing, Paula's camera. Paula's. It's a Finepix, Fuji Finepix. The model number is rubber 5600 or I don't know, but it's a Fuji thing. So I don't think it's HD quality, but at least it's that wonderful sound that's most important, more important of all, more important than the actual video on that link. But something I'm gonna try and put on my phone as a ringtone. No copyrights on my stuff. If I post photos, you're welcome to use them. I tried to post a photograph of that flower that I'm sure is a Chironia, that purple, lovely purple flower. Last week, a few days ago, we saw that flower and it was closed, and then a little while later in the afternoon we came by and it was open, and I took a photograph. I've got to learn to take more photographs because most of those photographs are a little bit soft in focus, but it does look like a Chironia, one of the Chironia species. And well, even if it's a blurred photo, I'll post it on one of my pages amongst other photos. Funny enough, there's a really nice photo of a lobelia that I took, tiny little lobelia flower that is smaller than my pinky fingernail, but it's actually come out beautifully clear because this camera can actually take some really nice macro photographs. Craig, come in. Ja, nee, dan kan aan konto. Is it rather fresh? Copy, thanks. My favorite crossing. Land Rover gets stuck. No, sorry, Land Cruiser gets stuck crossing. Not Land Rover. Greenback heron just flew away. Oh, you're bracing yourself, Becky. I don't think anybody really gets an idea of the angle that we're in.
I think they do now.
Yeah?
Like a pretty crazy stuff.
We just down. I love Land Rovers. They just do anything that you want them to do without an effort. And hang on. There's a maxim. There is a what other word could I use? A mantra for off-road driving. As slow as possible, as fast as necessary. It's SAPAFAN is the acronym. Okay. The one tree in the whole property that causes problems for us. Might have solved one other problem too. Becky came up with an incredible idea to keep the mast steady but still have the quick release that we've got. Now both Rob and I tried, and Rob being a Springbok Scout and me being me, tried so many different designs and all sorts of things to keep this mast straight and steady. And Becky came along and said, well, why don't we do this and do that? And she did it, all on her own. Quite the MacGyver girl. Now we have a really nice mast, antenna anchoring device thingy majig. It's called the Becky clamp. We call it the heart clamp. The Becky heart restraining device. The Becky heart media antenna restraining device. Becky, BHMARD. Becky heart and the Becky heart antenna restraining device. BHARD. Okay, so who's in Fort Byron? Port Byron. Port Byron. I know there's a Byron Bay in Sydney, because my cousin lives there. This is Diane in Port Byron, New York, who hasn't been able to watch because she's been at work. Diane, welcome back for the weekend. And the question from Diane is regarding our young male, he who calls and doesn't get an answer, and whether what we are witnessing is him being ousted from the Pride, and it could very well be. I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be just the females ignoring him, because that has happened, and it does happen in a lot of cases, especially in prides where the males tend to dominate kills and what have you. I believe they did. The rest of the pride did kill a buffalo yesterday sometime up in the north, away from our, out of signal range. And the guys are saying now they can't find the pride because they finished the buffalo already. So they had a wildebeest a few days ago, and they've just had a buffalo. And that can sort of provide an answer to some people who are questioning how often lion has to eat and hunt, and the fact that a wildebeest that could sometimes last a week wasn't necessarily, or didn't need to last a week this time, because opportunity arose and they managed to get themselves a female waterbuck. And there's another one coming just after her. Stop. 3 waterbuck cows. They're running away. We don't get to see waterbuck very often. Not hearing any elephants. Not seeing any leopard tracks, so this leopard is still there. Leopard didn't come out to the side of the road. Well, we've got a little ways to go. The other side of River Lodge before we match up to where he was coming down towards the river. So we won't just count our chickens just yet. There are a bunch of possibilities that or scenarios that have resulted in this young male being on his own for the last couple of days, and it could be that his time with the pride has come to an end and it's time for him to move on. It could be that he goes back to them. It could be all sorts of things. The only way to find out is really to watch us every day, and for me to try my best every day to see if we can find him or the others at least, and try and find some answers to what is going on with the lion here right now. But that is really an interesting prospect. If it is that he's now finally being ousted by the pride, there is that other big male that came in. Females were chasing. I don't know if he was with them on that buffalo kill that they had yesterday, or whether he was somewhere else. No leopard tracks, there's some giraffe tracks. But we still not quite level with where he was coming down to the river on the southern bank. He was heading north, coming down to the river on the southern bank, and we're also not quite level with where those last elephant tracks were. Just south of us now is still the wonderful lodge of River Lodge, Ilkley River Lodge. Nothing in the riverbed. tank. He would have come straight down here towards this point. I don't think he's crossed the river. There are the trees at the pan. Which station? Really busy radio today. Still unlocked. Okay, copy. Now the other radio is so noisy. So we're back again. And Gareth has just found where we were looking. No, not quite where we were looking. Where we turned around. We were. That's also hard to explain to you. Here's the fresh elephant bean here. Across the road and gone to the west. Well, I was trying to find that young male with his tracks. Just a little bit south of that. Gareth has just found the mother one female. I'm hoping she'll still be okay and still be there a little bit later. We will, before the sun goes down, we'll start making our way back home and try and catch up with her. And we do need to see a spotted cat, especially on a lovely Saturday like today. Kicking myself for not sticking around and just doing loops and looking, because Gareth was saying that he had fresh tracks. But I guess in an effort to try and find you something that I thought I knew where it was. Well, the lion is still ahead of us somewhere. He's at Waxpool Pan. Nobody's found him yet this afternoon. He's evidently moved down into the shade below the dam wall. Elephants have moved west. So, if looking at animals or looking for animals, finding animals is all about being in the right place at the right time, there are times that we are in the right place at the right time, and I think at the moment we're probably in the right place at the wrong time, as we have been this morning. We're in the right place. Timing was wrong. I guess it's the story of my life. Right place, wrong time. Excuse me. Let's go down Ficus. Elephant might be down there, and there are some tracks. Vehicles have already hit it. Let's go to Waxpool Pan first, see if we can see little boy lion. The lion print. buffalo right there where the lion was, so they possibly chased him off. Or he's just chosen discretion as the better part of valor. Buffalo will not be too kind to a lion if they catch him. Thomas, come in. Instead, you other side of Waxville. Okay, I just found this Madoda Ngala with these Inyati on the dam wall. Yeah, fam. Well done, Becky. Visual back, maybe 1 out of 5. The buffalo coming out of the... Oh, he's angry. That tail is flicking side to side. I don't know. Hello, boyki. Is that good? And we just happen to be in the wrong place right now. Gonna have to stand by our necks. Station Madoda Ngala, Slid Waxville Pan. So he's here, wonderful. Ali, he's managed to creep out of the drainage line behind us. And I've got a very narrow wall to reverse on. I don't want to dump Becky in the dam. Pardon? Yeah, I know. It's very narrow. Don't drink. Finicky dam wall. Only now filming him is going to be a little difficult because we're going to be looking at him into the sun, and that's not ideal. But maybe if we stop here, hey Becky?
Yeah.
Because we're going to get a lovely reflection of him. And I'm in the way. Maybe I need to just do that. Pardon? Any good? I think he's been having a hard time with these buffalo because two of these buffalo came out of this thick bush down below us, and he was a little bit frustrated. I could see his tail flicking from side to side, the way a cat does when it's not very happy. I don't think he was doing it at us. And then sadly, of course, he decided to come out. And no wonder I wasn't really going straight. Look at that. Trying to reverse through there would have been a bit of a nightmare. Would have fallen over. So the saga continues. but I think maybe we should try and get around to there where Thomas is. Okay. Really lovely from here, but the light is a little bit awkward. DB's good. One. Let me get in here. Just the phone. Battery. Okay, no, that's fine. Just put your strap there today. The strap. Your cooler box. No, the strap is there. Thanks, Thomas. Still watching the buffalo. Buffalo still on the other side. Right where he was this morning. I think they sort of, three of them there, I think, maybe all four. I think they just assign them to stay. Trying to give him some sort of message. Yeah, or 4, 5 bulls now. It's could get interesting because if they see him, they might just want to chase him off. There's actually beautiful light. No, it's very similar to our scene this morning. This morning we were on the other side of the dam with him on that side where the buffalo are now, and the buffalo were on this side. But this morning we had morning light, so it was good for us this morning, and now it seems to be the same thing. Afternoon light, perfect. There's some dynamic going on there with these buffalo. That is a big bull. The one that has walked into the water. I think that's probably why the other 3 scattered, because he's clearly the main man of this little group of bulls. Such beautiful light on these buffalo. I guess if you don't move, the buffalo don't see you, because none of these buffalo have seen him. They must have been interacting with him at some time during the day, because they've come out of the area where he was lying up, and well, there's not much he can do about it. He's a little bit too small, or too inexperienced to try and take one out on his own. But also with 5 bulls, although 4 of them have moved up into the tree line now, leaving this big bull behind. I think this big bull is maybe a little bit too much, kind of like biting off more than you can chew. And with the cool temperatures now and the sun going down, wonderful that he's come out to lie out in the open like this for us. Buffaloes being irritated by flies. Oh, he looks like an old heavyweight boxer that's just been through a 15-round fight, that old bull buffalo. His right eye is completely closed. He's got a gash underneath his eye. He's probably been fighting, which is what makes him a little bit cantankerous, and of course that's possibly why the other 4 made way for him, because they don't want to get in his way. He's probably not in a very good mood at the moment. Of course he's vulnerable, seeing out of only one eye at the moment, but only to a prided lion. It wouldn't be vulnerable to just a young male like this. This young male, almost at adulthood, he's probably about 4 years old. His nose is still a little bit pink, and at the age of 5 there's less pink and more black. It's more blotchy, and then of course by the time he's 6 years old he'll have a black nose, and there's still a few little pink spots on his nose that tell me that he's not quite 5 years old yet. Well, Debbie, hopefully that's just answered your question about whether he would take on these buffalo. He's not likely to. Is it you or them doing it themselves? Oh. They are. They were both recording, just briefly, while I was playing with it. So not likely that he's going to go for one of these bulls. You know, with 5 bulls in well, not quite a bachelor herd, because they're not bachelors. They're old bulls. They're Duggar boys. They've passed their prime. They've done their bit for the buffalo community, and they now just want to have a bit of peace and quiet away from the herd. But if he were to do anything, they'd gang up on him, and his life would be in danger, and he knows that, so he's not even going to try and do anything. He is watching. There's something else behind us that he's keeping his eye on. That's looking directly into the sun. I can't see anything there. Okay, Linda in Hot Dallas. I think I've answered that question, Linda. I'm wanting to know his age. Somehow I must have anticipated that question, because I just mentioned probably in the region of 4, 4.5, maybe around there. He's older than 3. His mane is bigger than a 3-year-old, but his nose is still a little bit pink, and it tells me that he's not quite full grown yet. Someone somewhere will have the age of the cubs. He's got two sisters, and the two sisters and the mother, there are details about their history here at Thorny Bush. Lovely tree trunk there. Right, now I think if we're going to try and get to see this leopard, we need to start heading back to camp, because she's quite close to camp. It's quite a way to go. Any station coming up to Waxville Plan for Madodangala? At the moment he's lying next to the Mati. The Zanyaria moved off into the Shatin. Really nice light and nice visual at the moment. Okay, well I'll stick around until you're close, just in case he gets up and moves. Okay, copy, thanks. Hello, Shelley, Ontario, Canada. A few Canadian friends on board this afternoon. Shelley wanting to know what age he'd be interested, or what age he'd probably be forming his own pride. It's around about now that a young male would leave the pride. What makes things a little bit different under these circumstances is that there is no pride male. There is a big male that has been courting the females and has possibly been mating with, I'm not even too sure who the father is of the cubs, because their father is different to the father of, there are two sets of cubs in this pride, the Black Dam pride. Two different ages, two different fathers, but the fathers don't really know that the others have been sired by another father. So there isn't really a pride male. There is this other male that has come out of nowhere, and he's been chased by the females of the Black Dam pride. And so he hasn't had a father or fathers, coalition of males, to chase him off, because sometimes even as early as 3 years old they get chased off. He is now at this prime age for him to move on his own and to be nomadic for a couple of years. He's not old enough as yet to form his own pride, because essentially he would have to take over a territory of another male. He would have to challenge a male, or for that matter a coalition of males. He isn't in a coalition. It would be difficult for him to challenge 2 or 3 males. But in the time that it takes from now, which is at about maybe 3.5, 4 years old, until his 5th or 6th birthday, it's this period of time that he has to become somewhat nomadic, has to be bounced around from pride to pride, or from pride male to pride male, having fights, having scraps, probably getting his butt kicked from time to time to build up strength, to build up technique, and to become a big enough male that he can challenge an existing male for a territory. There are not very many places where he could just go and set up home, set up shop, as it were, and hope that females are going to join him to form a pride, because territories are pretty much back to back with lion in most cases, and it's not a case of being able to find a new territory for yourself. Normally what happens is you've got to move through other lions' territories, fight with them, and be pushed from pillar to post until such time as you can come back and oust them when they're getting a little bit older and a little bit decrepit, and then you can take over their territory and then establish a pride base of your own, normally by killing whatever cubs there are to induce estrus in the females so that you can sire your own cubs. He is possibly going to be moving around. Who knows? He might even have to leave Thorny Bush. There are one or two places that he can do that, and who knows where he's going to go. There's a whole point of us being here is to try and find something like this that is happening, a dynamic that is changing constantly. Every day there are new things happening, and he, if anything, is one of the ones to watch, because who knows, this could be that very moment when he's no longer being part of the pride, when he's moving out onto his own, on his own. The thing on his lips looking a lot better. Seems to be closing. It was a lot bigger than that when I first saw that gash. It is quite a gash. That's going to be a scar for the rest of his life. That's one of those scars that we'll identify him by, but it's also one of the, having received that scar, would have been in a fight that would have taught him some valuable lessons for the next time that he does come across a big male. Are you getting used to my voice, Koiki? Hope so. I want to spend quite a bit of time with you in the near future. Oh, Dove gave him a fright. You're not going to do very well against big male lions if a dove gives you a fright. Listening to something. Are you going to start calling again? Yawn and a stretch. You're going to get up and move. Yep. Figured as much. Oh, that's why. You're going to make smellies. He's going to start walking now, and we're going to possibly lose him. Really in fantastic condition, this lion. He's lost all of that bloated belly that he had from eating the wildebeest a couple of days ago. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, he did get up, toileted. He's laid down again, a little bit away from the mighty, but he's still same spot on the western side of the dam. Ellen! Markia, go ahead. Not sure where you now? Harris, where you now? Okay, copy. Yeah, I'll be pulling out as soon as one of you guys gets close. Yeah, affirmative. Okay, so 2 reasons time to leave. One is because other vehicles are coming in. The other one is because it's starting to get dark and we want to get back. See if we can see this leopard that's close to camp. Hope we can. Quite a distance to travel, and we'll have to go through no signal area to get there. We're going to say goodbye to this little boy. Beautiful light now. Another fire in the west. Negative, come up, Spinny. Yeah, copy that, Craig. I've got Donovan arriving, Reese on standby. I'll be pulling out shortly. You'll be full standby. Next to the water. Not north, east. She's right there at that pan where we come out of camp. Well, they say they can't even get a vehicle in there. I can barely see it here. We can't get a vehicle in there. But still, she's going to move. By the time we get there, she's going to be moving. No, sorry, Andy, not yet. Wait. Software stations, I've left Ngada Lock, Jonathan on lock with Reese and Craig first standby. And this Ngada Lock has moved to channel 8. I think. Don't know. Okay, Ellen, Arkansas. Ellen was asking leopard and lion when they make a kill, does the herd of whatever animal it is, would they likely sacrifice one individual for, I guess, like an altruistic thing? Sacrifice an old or a young or an injured, maybe not young, for the sake of the herd, for the safety of for the protection of the rest of the herd? And the answer is no. Definitely not. It wouldn't really work, Ellen, because the predators, when they're hunting, they have to single out an individual. And in a lot of cases, especially with things like buffalo, in a lot of cases the prey species actually protect the injured and the old and the young. So it's not very often that the predator really gets the injured or the old or the young or the lame or the lazy. There's no such thing as lazy in nature. Only humans that are lazy. Trust me, I know, I've been lazy. I get lazy when I'm not working. When I'm at home and I'm waiting to hear about jobs and things. It's hard being a freelance person. Long periods of no work, short periods of intense work. As long as it pays the bills, that's what counts. But animals don't get lazy. Animals can't be lazy. Now, when it comes to hunting, predators have to observe the herd and the individual that they might go for, because they have to select an individual before they even make a hunt. And that individual is going to be one that is maybe not paying attention, maybe not quite in the middle of the herd. I'll just zip my earpiece up inside my jacket, never mind. So it can't really happen no matter which individual the herd might want the lion to catch or the leopard to catch. It's all up to the lion. Now, I guess you might say, well then why don't they push the one individual out of the herd? I don't think there is that much altruism in these circumstances. You know, when we're watching animals hunt predators and we're watching the prey species react to the hunting, very often we might find that one individual amongst the herd is likely to give off an alarm call and alert all the others, and we do see it somewhat as an altruistic action in that, yes, he's alarming, or they're alarming and they're attracting the attention of the rest of the herd to the predator's presence. But a lot of debate can be said for whether this is an altruistic action, or whether it is an individual warning the herd, or is it really selfish? Is it really an act of an individual is it the act of an individual to secure its own future? And he should first changeable to be quick, because for one reason and one reason only, it rely on surprise, and a Zipper or a zipper or something shouting at the predator that's surprised. It's no longer I'm going to lose signal now. Are we locked? Unlocked. And so we got to go. Action replay. Rewind and action replay. Okay, sorry, I was heading too far south. I was so involved in my own story. Should have taken this junction again. So, when that individual, I don't even know how far I got with what I was telling you, but I was just saying that the individual who sees the first, even though it might seem that he's shouting or she is shouting at the predator and warning all other individuals, it's really a self-preservation thing. It's very selfish, because the element of surprise can no longer come into play. The predator can't go for the one that's shouting at, and so the one who shouts first is the one that is likely to be caught. And it doesn't really work, or it doesn't really, baby Franklin, doesn't really work for the herd to try and nominate someone. I don't think that they would think that far. Although having said that, I've seen individual animals that are injured walk up to predator and almost expect or wait to be taken down. Not very often, on very few occasions, very rare occasions. One particular incident comes to mind with a zebra that 3 sub-adult lion had tried to catch in the morning. Their mother was so badly injured from a buffalo because they'd killed a buffalo with the whole pride, and then the female and her 3 sub-adult cubs had left the main pride after they fed on this buffalo, and the rest of the pride disappeared. And these 3 children decided to take it upon themselves to feed mom. Everybody, how you going? Very good, and you? Good. Enjoy it. Nice idea, Ellen. Next question, please. I'll just get a branch. Brenda in Spokane, Washington, no doubt. Spokane sounds like it's around Washington somewhere. What can this lion kill to eat? Well, Brenda, he could eat a wildebeest, an impala. He could alright, let's do anything under the size of a wildebeest, I guess. He might be lucky taking down a zebra. He's got to go for an animal that the rest of the herd are not going to fight back. And while there might be a big herd of buffalo somewhere that might have some calf or an injured one, the herd of buffalo will probably defend any individual within the herd that is being attacked by a single lion. He would have to get an animal that is isolated from the herd. I have no doubt he's engaged in hunts before. I have no doubt that he's participated in bringing down animals. It's not something that will be new to him after this amount of time, after or 5 years, nearly 4 years, however old he is. I think he's about 4 or something. And, well, he should be competent enough to bring Impala. A little bit difficult. Impala, lion will go for Impala at night, the same way they do in, say, places like Etosha in Namibia with the springbok. During the day, lion wouldn't even get anywhere near a springbok, but at least when night falls, they're able to get closer to them, and they're able to then hunt springbok at night. Same with impala. What I've noticed in the Sabi Sand, I've noticed at home, is that during the day, impala are very alert. Lion being as big as they are, especially if there are a few of them, very difficult for them to get to an impala. But also, impala don't offer very much for a group of lions. Even though I've seen sometimes, I've even seen 7 or even 9 lions trying to feed on it. Well, it's not trying to feed on. there's nothing left within seconds. Each animal's got a piece of it and it's ripped it apart. But he could also scavenge. He could also listen for the alarm calls of animals and get closer to where they're calling, and maybe if there's a leopard hunting and the leopard doesn't get a kill up a tree, quite easy for him to then steal the kill from a leopard, or even hyena. He could steal a kill from hyena. He could steal cheetah's kill. But being a cat, being an opportunist, who knows? He might even swat a francolin or chew on a squirrel or something. Going to be very interesting in the next few days to see how far he gets. Now, to tell you, we're going to be going through a signal break from about now, I guess. We're going to have to go through, get back up onto the other slope that you can see. It's really and hope leopard if we can. Hello, francolin. Francolin. We're down the river. Okay, copy. Do you mind if I join you looking? They can't find her. She's around here somewhere. You know what we're going to do? We're not even locked yet. Okay, well, we'll just wait. What we're going to, we'll go down to the pan and see if we can. Okay, you're back with us, and we're almost back home, back to where Malawan female leopard is. However, she's in very thick bush. They can't find her now. Sounds like she's after some impala. So I just want to come down to the river where maybe some sign of this young male that's been around. Oops. And I'm thinking maybe he's been sleeping because it's been hot. It's cooling down now, and then he's going to need to get and drink some water at this pan. So Gareth was saying that there were kudu calling down here, and that he might be here somewhere. Well, that's something that we've got facts, but if there were kudu calling, then maybe he's moving a bit. Maybe he's woken up. Ryan, come in. I'm just going to have a look around the pans on Armorkop, see if this young male comes out. Okay, copy. Okay, go. good question. I think Andy's going to have to repeat some of that. I can't remember the sky. I look at my photos. Sadly, I'm not with him anymore, so I'm trying to think. Marsha's mentioning something about scars on his shoulder, but yes, he'll keep those. The scars on his... No, the colours on his ears, he should keep those. Although when he gets old, the colours will start fading. But yes, the markings we find on the lion are there for a reason, because it helps with non-verbal communication. It's very important to have those markings. That's why they do have them. It's so that they can communicate with each other for various reasons, mostly in a hunt, without having to make a sound. And then what else was there? What? You're going to have to give it to me again. Okay, the shoulder. Okay, so it was only the two, the shoulders and the ears. Marsha, I'm not too sure what you mean about the paws as big as his... He has got big paws. I mean, he's not quite as big as his head, but he has got big paws. I see you here. You're asking about the scars on his shoulder. Were they from a fight? There's no way of knowing. Lions pick up scars just feeding on a kill with their family. They get a lot of scars. Even that mouth, his lip, the way it looks, even that could be from putting his face where it doesn't belong at a kill when he's not being courteous to his mother. So, unfortunately, there's no way of knowing whether those scars were from a fight or not. Unless, I guess, maybe somebody saw the fight, but there's no way of knowing. And I think I've answered your question, Marsha. From Louisville, Kentucky. Homo. Very fine whiskey. Of this little boy. It's also going to get too dark. I hope, not I hope. Perhaps he makes a kill tonight and then we'll be able to maybe find her tomorrow, but at the moment it's going to get too dark to see her, especially if she's in thick bush like this. There's no way the camera's going to pick it up. But we'll head up there. I thought maybe we'd just do a turn down here just in case this other young male decides to show his face. But it is getting a bit too dark to see. Questions this afternoon. Linda, hello. Hot Dallas. Was it hot today in Dallas? It was hot here too. But I don't have a skull. I'm still perplexed, confuddled. I'm still not sure. You see, how did we get unlocked where we had locked before? But Linda, the skull issue, I need to consult. I mean, it's not a steenbok, because a steenbok has different horns. So it's definitely not a steenbok. The reason why I was ruling out a duiker, because it could be a duiker, but there is a curve to the horns that is very un-duiker-like. But then again, this skull is a very old male of whatever it is, and I think duiker comes the closest. Not a Sharps Gracebuck, because the Sharps Gracebuck slightly different horns, further apart. And that's about it. There's no Sunni, Arabi or Dik. Well, Dik, of course, there would never be a Dik. Reedbuck's a lot bigger. I think it is just a rather unusual specimen of a duiker. A really, really old duiker, and what makes it even more unusual is really strange teeth wear. For an old male, there was some anomaly that caused an abnormal growth pattern in his lower jaw, and that translated to, and that must have been early on in his life, because it translated to a very, very strange tooth wear pattern in his upper jaw that matched his lower jaw, and some teeth were excessively worn and some not, in a very irregular pattern for a herbivore. I mean, apart from the fact that the teeth are stained with tannin around the gum line, and that is just from eating vegetation all his life, not using dental floss and not brushing his teeth properly. Take note, children, that's what happens when you don't brush your teeth. But then again, duiker don't exactly have opposable thumbs, so it's pretty difficult for them to brush their teeth. And they probably just eat on the guarri bush and use the guarri leaves as dental hygiene. Only kidding. But it's what throws me completely is the fact that the horns are not straight, and a duiker's horns are straight, and these horns are curved forward. That's rather unusual. Okay, it is 5:30. It's time to sign off, but I'm going to wait until we just get to this little pan where this cat was. Don't know. Just maybe she might be on the road. We can sign off there, and then pick up first thing in the morning to see what we can find. Maybe a last question or two. Charlotte in North Carolina. Did I say there were 2 leopards? Well, I might not have said it, I certainly implied it. This female is known as the Malawan female. She has 2 cubs, and she has a male cub from one of the previous litters whose tracks we've just been trying to find him now, where his tracks led down to the river, but I think he's lying down on the river somewhere, on the sand. It doesn't sound like her cubs are with her. It sounds like she's out hunting, and she's here somewhere in this very thick bush on our left, and evidently aiming for some impala. So she's definitely on the hunt. We're probably going to, after we shut down and we go home for dinner, it's within a couple of hundred, not even, maybe 150 yards from our kitchen, where she supposedly is doing all of this. We no doubt will hear impala alarming. We might hear all of this later this evening. She was just behind this pan. There's the impala there. So she's possibly moved on from there. But those are probably the impala that she might have been aiming for. Not hearing any alarm calls. Really dark underneath the tree canopy, so we're not going to see her even with naked eye. Hello, Davina. I need to know why spotlights aren't being used for evening drives. No, they are being used for the game drive vehicles. we're not using spotlights because it doesn't really work with the 3D equipment. It only really works with 2D. Difficult to film in 3D when you've got a spotlight creating a 2D effect, which is one of the reasons why when it gets dark we sign off and say goodbye. But we have thought of it, Davina. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work with the cameras that we're using. And, well, the other thing that doesn't work with the cameras we're using is low light. So, the lovely glow that we have, it's time to say goodnight to all of you. And, well, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Brown-hooded kingfisher calling. I'm not hearing any other noises. So she's moved on. Fortunately, she's close by, and we're likely to maybe find tracks first thing in the morning. That'll be 6:30 Central African time, which is our time here in South Africa, and we will be live looking for leopard. And short of finding leopard, what's that down there? Kudu. Yeah, kudu bull. Just run into the bushes. So we'll look for leopard first thing in the morning, and then of course we're going to have to go and find that male lion and see what he might have done overnight, or where he might have gone, and I'm sure that the guys will help us. Becky's done a great job again on camera. Thanks, Becky. And thanks to Andy back in FC sending all the questions. If I didn't get to any today, we'll get to them tomorrow. So from all of us here at Wild Earth and Thorny Bush Game Reserve, bye-bye everybody.